What's happening with the Raiders right now isn't just another storyline, it's a stress test. And this week against the Chargers, our new interim offensive coordinator Greg Olsen has one chance to show that this team still has a pulse. I'm not talking about dreaming of some miracle turnaround. I'm talking about simple, real, visible improvement, something that proves this team still cares about putting up a product worth watching on Sundays. Because let's be honest, hope is running low. Raider Nation feels it, the locker room feels it, and you can see it every time this team takes the field. But even when the wins aren't coming, effort can. Identity can. Pride can. And that's what I want Olsen to bring back, not next month, not next season, this week. Before we dive into the biggest fixes he needs to make, let me remind you of something important. Backhand index pointing right. If you're enjoying the content, make sure you hit that subscribe button, drop a like, and smash the bell icon so you never miss out. It helps the channel grow and keeps Raider Nation connected. Alright, let's get into the real issue. The very first thing Greg Olsen needs to do is simple: protect Geno Smith from himself. Not just on the field, but everywhere. Don't let him get sucked into the noise, into the fans, into the sidelines drama, none of it. Keep him focused, controlled, and locked in from the moment he steps off the bus. Because last week told us everything. Running behind Ashton Gentry wasn't an accident. He did it because he knew the reaction wouldn't be for him. And now? I'd bet he'll try it again every week just to dodge the boos. That's fine, do whatever keeps him steady, but don't let that become the reason this team falls apart. And on game day, don't put him in situations where he becomes the hero or the villain. This offense shouldn't live or die on his shoulders. He'll say, "Blame it on me," but Raider Nation has heard enough empty lines this season. What we need now is smart football, not sabotage. And trust me, that's only the beginning of what Greg Olsen must change. Stay with me, because the next part is where things really get interesting. He needs to step back, stay calm, and stop trying to play the hero. The offense doesn't need him launching the ball all over the field. What it needs is control. What it needs is simplicity. Put him under center, shrink the playbook, and keep him away from the chaos that keeps throwing this team off balance. The less he has to do, the better the Raiders will look. Sometimes the smartest move is knowing when to get out of your own way. Now, here's the bigger challenge: this offensive line isn't magically turning into a wall overnight. We aren't suddenly winning trench battles. Let's be real, right now it feels like sending a guy with a flashlight into a tank fight. You already know how that ends. So instead of pretending, the Raiders need to adapt. How do you survive that kind of mismatch? Get the ball out of his hands instantly. No deep, 7-step drops. No long developing highlight hunting plays. No waiting around for a pocket that's never going to be there. Keep the routes short, sharp, and simple. Move the chains with quick hits. Let the speed guys run deep if you want to stretch the defense, but don't build the whole plan around throws your quarterback can't consistently make right now. Because here's the truth: confidence disappears the moment a quarterback gets smashed on every dropback. Blitz or no blitz, pressure is coming, and once he starts doubting himself, everything else collapses. Quick decisions won't cure everything, but they might reduce the chaos. They might keep the mistakes to a minimum. They might even help avoid another game where the ball somehow ends up in the wrong hands because the clock in his head froze. This isn't about flash. It's about survival. And right now, survival starts with speed. Let me throw a question at you, one that every Raiders fan is probably already thinking about. How many times is Geno Smith going to hit the turf against the Chargers? Because if we're being brutally honest, the number isn't going to be pretty. If I had to guess, he's looking at 6, maybe 7 sacks. And that's not even an exaggeration. That's just life behind this offensive line right now. Injuries piling up, communication breaking down, protection turning into a suggestion instead of a reality. Meredith's banged up, nobody's sure if he'll be ready, and young guys like Caleb Rogers are being thrown into the fire faster than expected. I'd love to see Rogers get real reps, but throwing him in front of a pass rush like this feels like dropping a rookie into a shark tank. Look at the numbers: 20 sacks in 3 games. 10 of them against Cleveland alone. And here's the wild part, 9 of those 10 came without a single blitz. No extra rushers. No tricks. Just straight up losing one-on-one battles snap after snap. That's how outmatched this line has been. And don't forget who the Chargers have. We've seen what happens when a pass rusher like Khalil Mack gets into a rhythm. He once racked up 6 sacks on his own. One man. 6. That's the kind of pressure nightmare Geno is walking into. At some point, the coaching staff has to adjust. Greg Olsen, Brennan Carroll, someone has to create a plan that doesn't revolve around hoping the offensive line magically blocks better. Stack the line with extra protection if you must. Use 6 linemen. Use tight ends. Use anything that prevents the quarterback from getting folded like a lawn chair every other snap. Because here's the uncomfortable truth, some fans aren't even angry anymore. They're numb. A few might even clap sarcastically every time Geno gets demolished, and honestly, it's hard to blame them. That's how far this whole situation has fallen. But the story isn't done yet. There's more Greg Olsen needs to fix, and the next part might surprise you. Stay with me. There's another thing this coaching staff absolutely has to embrace, something so basic and so obvious that it's amazing we're still talking about it: run the football. Not as an occasional change-up. Not as a second thought. As the foundation of everything this offense does on Sunday. And no, it doesn't have to fall on one guy. Ashton Gentry can grind out yards, but Raheem Mostert can bring that burst and balance too. The point is simple, this team should be leaning on the run far more than the pass. Honestly, if Geno Smith didn't throw the ball a single time in this game, I don't think many people would complain. At this stage, protecting him from himself might be the smartest strategy. But beyond protecting the quarterback, there's a bigger question: what is this offense supposed to be? What's the identity? Because when you draft a running back with a top pick, you're declaring who you want to become. A tough, physical, ground-and-pound unit that controls the game instead of chasing it. And if that identity is going to mean something, then act like it. Put 6 linemen on the field if that's what it takes. Let Gentry pound the rock 20 times. Let Mostert take 8 to 10 carries of his own. Wear down a defense, slow down the pass rush, and give this team something reliable to cling to when everything else feels unstable. Running the football isn't just a style choice right now, it's survival. Because across this roster, the depth is thin everywhere. Starters are stretched, backups are untested, and one injury at the wrong spot can send the entire unit spiraling. A strong running game can cover those cracks, shorten the game, and give the Raiders a fighting chance. And Greg Olsen has to show he understands that, because the next adjustment might be the most important one yet. Stay with me, the truth is simple: the more the Raiders commit to running the ball, the more they control the entire rhythm of the game. A steady ground attack wears down a defense, slows down the pass rush, and keeps Geno from becoming a tackling dummy for 4 straight quarters. It also eats up the clock, which matters more than people realize, because this defense falls apart late not from talent, but from exhaustion. They're out there too long, too often, because the offense keeps stopping the clock with incomplete passes. Run the ball. Run the ball. Run the ball. It's not complicated. But even with a heavy run plan, there's a reality we can't avoid: the Raiders' run game hasn't been reliable this season. Injuries have piled up, and depth is stretched so thin that every little weakness becomes a disaster. JPJ's health has been a question mark, even though he's trending the right direction. Same with Colton Miller. And until the gears up front are solid, every rushing prediction feels like guesswork. Now, let's shift to something I'm desperate to see: Brock Bowers unleashed. This guy is electric, one of the most entertaining players in the entire league, and yet this offense has barely scratched the surface of what he can do. With Michael Mayer not close to full strength, there's no excuse anymore. Bowers should be featured everywhere, down the field, across the middle, in the red zone, even in motion to create mismatches. Whatever you do, don't stick him in the role they forced on Ian Thomas last week. A tight end trying to block elite edge rushers like Myles Garrett. That's not strategy, that's sabotage. And please, Please don't even think about lining him up against Khalil Mack. If you need an extra blocker, fine, use someone else. But when the ball goes to Bowers, good things happen. It's time to see that on full display. And now for the part that might ruffle some feathers. Greg Olsen needs to get bold. He needs to coach like there's nothing left to protect, because frankly, there isn't. Take risks. Get weird. Open the playbook and shake loose every trick you can find. Hook and ladder, misdirection, wildcat with Gentry, whatever brings sparks to an offense that's been stuck in neutral. And if being bold means pulling Geno Smith for a drive or two. If it means giving Aiden O'Connell or anyone else a chance to show they can move the ball. Then do it. Sometimes the gutsy move isn't flashy, it's simply refusing to settle for the same mistakes over and over. I'll say this, I'm pulling for the Raiders, even if my expectations have been beaten into the ground. Tomorrow's a big one, division rivalry, emotions high, season pride on the line. I'll be breaking it all down early, from keys to victory to any late-breaking news. Until then, get ready, Raider Nation. This next game might get wild, and I hope Greg Olsen took every word of this to heart.